everybody. Welcome to the podcast. And this week I'm featuring my pal, Chris Rodriguez. So this is Julie's Success Faster On Fire Hot podcast. Well, I tend to feature realtors who are my friends and who are doing just some really cool things in the industry. Everything from top performers to just really engaging at a high level in the industry, or they may have a particularly interesting skill set or niche. So I'm really excited to bring my pal Chris to the table today. Chris,
hello.
Hello. So I think Chris has a great story because I'm really interested in his involvement in the industry with a couple organizations, and we're going to talk about that. And Chris, why don't you introduce yourself, pretty please?
Sure. Hi. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Again, Chris Rodriguez. I've been a realtor for a little over 15 years now. Okay. In that time, I have become super involved in giving back to the real estate community.
You have.
And participating on board committees, getting involved heavily with the area boards in Austin and Williamson County. And I've been with the Women's Council of Realtors for quite a long time as well.
Okay. And so what about, tell us a little bit about you personally, maybe like, what did you do before real estate? What's maybe something we should know about you?
Sure, absolutely. So before real estate, I say real estate is my second career. Prior to this, I graduated in high school in 1981, moved to Austin to go to UT, started going to UT, and got involved heavily in the limousine industry. So
awesome.
I did that for 20 years, and limousine kind of morphed into what is now called ground transportation. And so I did that, like I said, for 20 years.
Did you have a fleet of really fancy cars and long limousines?
So there was that, yes. But what we specialized in was corporate travel. We had the Carry franchise for the Austin, Texas area. And with that, we did a lot of conventions, a lot of black car service, a lot of CEOs for Fortune 500 companies. We had approximately 42 vehicles when I left.
Wow.
Sold
how many drivers? How many drivers did you have?
That was about 40 or 50 drivers.
Wow.
Yeah, about as many cars as we had. That didn't limit us to what we did, because we would then, as we got busier, we would start hiring outside companies around the area to come in and help us.
Yeah. So if a VIP was in town for a corporation, you might have a vehicle and a driver that it was just simply their job to get them wherever they needed to go when they were in Austin.
Whatever they needed to do. So the car would pick them up at the airport and pretty much stay with them throughout the duration of their time in Austin. We worked heavily with Dell. We worked heavily with Applied Materials, Advanced Micro Devices.
Were your guys one of those guys at the airport that would stand at the bottom of the escalator with the sign saying, looking for Julie Nelson, or, Joe, VIP Joe Schmo?
We used to write those on cards, and as soon as iPads came around, we started using iPads. But it's funny that you mentioned that, because it's from that I got the idea. I do this a lot when I'm talking on podcasts and I want people to know who I am.
Oh, that's right. Here,
I start raising this up and it says, I'm from Hutto, Texas, and I'm saying hello. And so I got the idea from that many years ago, but I keep it here by my side and I use it frequently because it often breaks the monotony of whatever the meeting may be going on that's getting a little long-winded. And I do it for entertainment purposes, of course.
Oh my God, that's great. Would you drive around like bachelorette parties too, or did you try to avoid that part of the business?
In the beginning, we did a lot of that, yes.
Yeah.
Towards the end, we didn't do any of that really. The biggest things I ever got involved with was being the main dispatcher for Super Bowl. So we would take our whole company, all of our employees, we'd put them up in the cities where they're going to. Houston was huge.
So you
for
would
us,
drive all your vehicles to
for
another,
us.
that
Yeah.
city.
Yes.
Oh, cool.
And so I was pretty much running dispatch services for Super Bowl when it was in New Orleans many, many years ago.
Yeah.
And I had approximately 200 drivers, and I had 5 radio systems in front of me. And each radio system is dedicated to the type of vehicle: sedan, van, bus, just whatever. It got kind of crazy there
Oh,
during Super Bowl.
that is so interesting. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
We didn't practice this. I didn't give you this question at all, but this is really interesting.
Yeah.
What aspect of that business has helped you be a better realtor, or that you've used in your real estate business?
So as the years progressed, I started calling myself the director of convention services. It required that a lot of planning and a lot of documentation goes into what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, when it's going to happen, and what to do if it doesn't happen. I got
Lots of logistics.
lots of logistics. I developed that skill early on. I was in my 20s, and it has stayed with me throughout this time. Yeah.
Oh,
Now
darn.
you couldn't pay me to get into a big car.
I believe it. I believe it. Okay. And so you're in the Austin area.
Yeah.
And of course I am too, but we're not talking about me. Like, for folks who are listening, what do you think? What is one thing that everyone should know about Austin?
It is a vibrant community, rich in culture, rich in music, rich in technology. Those are the driving forces of Austin. And
Nice. Yeah.
I've been around in Austin long enough to know that that's even back in the 70s, that's what Austin was trying to build itself as. It wanted to become the music capital of the world. It wanted to become the next Silicon Technology Valley area. It wanted to draw all the convention business that it had, and we only had a handful of hotels at the time, but that was the mindset back then. And over the years, that developed into what is now
What
Austin.
we have today. Yeah.
And I know it worked, because if you go downtown on any weekend, you will see buses full of people in front of hotels, bringing groups in, and Austin is their destination for that weekend.
Yeah, it's vibrant. How would you describe our real estate market briefly?
Austin has always wanted to be top of mind for real estate, and they've pretty much done that. With the business development in town, it is driving the housing market to where it is today. COVID helped drive that even stronger, to a stronger market, where there is very little inventory. As long as there is job growth in this area, there will always be a demand for housing.
Yeah. And there's tremendous job growth in Austin.
Because we're having such a huge job growth time going on right now, there just aren't enough homes for everybody that are wanting to live here.
That is so true. Well, there's low inventory all over the place, but that's definitely what we're experiencing in Austin. So tell me about your start in real estate. So it was about 15 years ago. What's your first year, or what did your start look like?
So I forget exactly how I got into real estate, but I do know that I had a mutual friend who wanted me to come work with them. He was a broker, and you needed to get a real estate license to do that. So I went to Austin Community College to get my real estate license. And the reason I went that route as opposed to doing it online is because I need the structure of classes to go to and participate in and absorb to learn. So that's just how I learn. And so at the time, the opportunity for me was Austin Community College. It took a little bit longer.
Takes longer.
But all I can say is I passed my first time I took the test, so it worked.
Yeah, it worked. It worked for you. Yeah.
It worked for me.
So fast forward to today to now, and what would you say is something you do really well in real estate besides your photography? I know that you're a really good photographer.
I do. My photography business has grown tremendously. I am fortunate that did happen. But one of the things, one of the I don't know, it's not a certificate, but it's participation in the Texas Association of Realtors. It's the TRLP program, Texas Real Estate Professionals. One of the personality assessments that I had to take for that was they determined that I don't get upset easily and I solve problems very quickly. Whatever.
That's a nice combination in this business.
Whatever the limousine industry did to me mentally prepared me for, I guess, where I am today.
So yes, you're calm.
I don't get upset, right?
You don't get upset. You're calm.
And
you're a problem solver.
I can, if something happens and you need an answer very quickly, I can pretty much help with that as well. Yeah.
You're the calm guy that everyone wants on their team. So let's talk about other agents. You and I want to talk about how you're involved in the industry, but you and I are around a lot of agents. So we're constantly talking to other agents, whether they're new in the business or they've been in the business longer than you and I have been combined, right? But what do you find, what sort of coaching advice or overall advice do you find yourself giving to other agents?
So, it happens over and over again. You have to realize and you have to understand when you are working with buyers and sellers that the object of the game is to get to the end of the game.
Oh, that's right. I've heard you say that before. I really like that. I love the simplicity of it. The object of the game is
to get to the end of the game.
End of the game.
Yes.
So to get it closed, in other words.
To get the transaction closed.
Hand the keys over.
The seller or the buyer can get emotional and freak out for whatever reason, or
it happens.
You can work opposite a difficult agent or a new agent. I had an opportunity to work with a real estate broker. I was doing a transaction with them, and I recall that they were just not doing things. They weren't doing things correctly. They weren't following through all the way. And I mentioned that to my broker, and my broker said, the object of the game is to get to the end of the game. And so he told me to go talk to ask to talk to their broker or tell them to ask their broker. And she told me she was the broker. Wow.
Ouch.
I thought.
Ouch. Uh-oh.
So when I told my broker that I was working with a broker that didn't really know how to do a transaction, he reminded me again of that mantra, and I would have to do the paperwork or tell them how to do their paperwork to get the transaction finished.
So it didn't matter, because sometimes it's look, the goal of the game is to get to the end of the game. So I think the example that you're giving is that sometimes that means, you could get upset about the fact that the agent on the other side isn't quite doing their job, or maybe doesn't quite know what they're doing.
You could lose the transaction.
You could lose the transaction, but what does that matter? You don't win the game then. It's well, help them out, or just do the extra. I love that. Yeah. The goal is to get to the end.
That's the goal. That's the transaction.
That's the end game. That's the transaction. Do what you need to do to get there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your involvement in the industry, because I think that's a cool part of you. You've held two two pretty important positions, and I'm sure there was a journey getting to there. You just don't walk in and all of a sudden you're the president of an organization. But both with the Women's Council of Realtors in Austin, I think you're a past president.
Yes.
You're also a past president of, I think, of the board of the Williams.
No, just a director. Just a director.
Oh, a director. Okay. Yeah. See, I get titles mixed up all the time. A director with the Williamson County Association of Realtors. Yeah. So both really, I think, impressive leadership positions. And I know there was a journey getting there, but just tell me a little bit about, and think of our audience, our realtor audience, like, why would someone, like, what has it done for you to be involved at that high level? And why would another agent, why would it make sense for them to maybe be involved in a leadership role, or even just involved period with an organization like that?
So with the Women's Council of Realtors, back in 2006, the president at the time worked at the same company that I was at. Mm-hmm. And she asked me to be the marketing and technology chair for Women's Council. Not ever having done it before, I said, well, of course, I'll be happy to do that.
Awesome.
Over the years,
you stepped in, you're like, okay, so it was your friend, somebody you respected. She asked for your help.
And you said, okay. I'm fluent with technology. I have an ability to create marketing pieces and things of that nature very quickly on the fly.
Yeah.
And so I said, sure, I'll do it. I've probably been involved with the Women's Council every single year since then in some capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. Like right now, what are you right now? You're like, I think, events coordinator right now.
I am the events coordinator this year for the Austin.
Awesome. Because network. They asked you.
Yeah.
Because they asked you, you're like, okay, sure.
Now, next year, I'm going to take a little break, work a little bit more on my real estate.
Yep.
But they asked, I knew they needed the help, and I knew I could help them get to where they wanted to go.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, nice. And then the Williamson County, the association, what did that look like?
So with the real estate side, I was previously with the Austin Board of Realtors, and I have been on just about every committee. I chaired quite a few committees. And then I moved brokerages to a North company where their main association was Williamson County. Once I got involved with Williamson County, I got involved again with all the different committees.
Yeah.
And eventually got to the point where I was asked to be a director, and I accepted the position. It was an appointed position for a year. And then I got it again a year later. They asked me again a year later.
Nice.
So
what are some of the things you worked on when you were when you were a director?
So one of the things that they do is they look at your involvement with the association. They like that you've been involved with numerous committees, so you can get the experience and you can get the feel of the association. Also, that helps when you're out in the community and the real estate community, and questions are asked, or questions are not, or there are answers that are not known. And being heavily involved, I'm a resource for that as well. Over the years of just participating, giving my time in those different committees, I just got to the point where director was one of the positions that I had not been in, that I knew I could make a difference. And so, I wanted to participate.
I think that's really cool. Now, let's talk about brokerages. How many brokerages have you been with in your career, your 15-year?
5 or 6, something like that.
5 or 6.
Yeah.
And you recently moved to EXP Realty.
I did. Yes.
We're working together, so I love that. So tell me about that. What was the draw for you?
See, how it happened was I was doing photos for a realtor, and her husband is a commercial realtor also for EXP, James Moreno.
Oh yeah, the Morenos. Yep.
And
good people.
His wife, Michelle, was telling me about EXP and said, that you were the person to talk to. A month or so goes by, 2 months or so. I'm not real sure how much time went by,
Yeah.
but I realized that I'm in a personal place now where I don't have retirement. I need to be considering what I'm going to be doing in 10 years. When we were talking, the different revenue streams or opportunities that are available to anybody that joins
Yeah.
EXP
Yeah.
were a huge draw,
Yeah.
and the healthcare, which I'm taking advantage of as well.
Yeah.
So when you look at the multiple streams of income that EXP offers, and with the healthcare, I
Yeah.
knew that I wasn't at the right place, and I knew
Yeah.
I needed to get to that place because it doesn't happen overnight. You have to build
Yeah,
it.
you do. That's true.
And that's why I'm where I
Yeah.
am today.
So it was, it really created some life solutions for you first, business solutions for you second.
Yes. Yeah.
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 That's interesting because and whatever brokerage, an agent is looking at, everyone's looking at something different, and EXP is great for some agents and maybe not the right fit for others. And I just love how the solutions that it's bringing to the table for you. And of course, selfishly, now you and I get to work together, which is fun.
Absolutely.
We've been doing some cool stuff together already. So
I did recognize that I wasn't at a place where I saw a retirement future. I want to
do you
work
want to
towards
sell
that.
real estate at age 80?
No.
Okay. Yeah. So some people do, but yeah, you and I don't think we want to do that. So tell me, like, what's something you're working on in your business this year?
Through the different WIN classes we've been having,
our mastermind group,
mastermind group, the techniques and the tools that the other seasoned agents are using, some of them haven't occurred to me. Some of them are new. Some are they got me thinking, I can do that. I really can do that. And so, the note cards, handwritten note cards is one of the things that I'm working on. I'm putting together.
It's simple, but you hadn't really thought of it in a while. You're like, wait a minute, why are I doing that?
I'm getting birthday list put together of the people that I've worked with, as well as the closing dates. I have all the closing dates, but I don't have them in a list form to remind those people it's an anniversary to them buying their home.
You needed you're focusing on some systems so that you can do that at a higher level than what you've done before. Because I know that you're really in kind of business building mode this year. You have some aggressive goals with your business as far as the number of clients that you want to help, and
the CRM that EXP offers is huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
How it helps you keep track and lets you monitor the activity of your clients on the web.
I love that.
When they're doing home searches themselves. That's huge because you can always follow up with them, and it gives you an opportunity to talk with them and ask them about why they're looking at this property and what they like about it.
Yeah.
And build off of that.
Yeah. It's an amazing tool. And for any CRM, they say the best CRM for an agent is the one they'll actually use.
Is the one you use, yes.
Is the one you use. I mean, you may have an amazing CRM, but if you don't use it, it's not a good CRM for you. But I think one of the things with the CRM, and I really like KV Core. I've been exposed to a lot of CRMs over the years. I really like it, that dashboard. And if you set up kind of notifications for yourself, and if you're monitoring it every day, it really does become your dashboard for being able to respond to your clients faster, easier. It's a pretty powerful tool. So that's
it lets you automate back end systems to where you can set it and forget it type of stuff, and the client is being taken care of.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. So we had talked about, so I'm going to ask you kind of this advice question for other agents. And we did it earlier. You'd had the goal is to get to the end. But like, what's one piece of advice you would have for agents, particularly like in these low inventory markets that most of us are in. What's some
So,
advice?
the advice I would give is to create a relationship with the person, with the client, and maintain that relationship. We won't always be in this tight market situation. I've been around enough to see the market go up and down throughout the years several times, and it always happens. Create those relationships, create those relationships, be top of mind, because when it's going to happen, it has to happen quickly because of the market that we're in right now.
That's true. We have to be really responsive.
You have to be ready.
Have to be ready. We've all had lots of experiences with that, times when we were totally on top of it and really responsive, and other times where it's like, whoa, wait a minute, what happened? And you miss an opportunity. It happens to all of us, right? But our ability to have some systems and tools in place, so we really, to help us build those relationships, but to be really responsive, and helpful, to be in the right place at the right time. Sometimes it's hard to time when your client is going to be ready. You think you know when they're going to be ready, and hopefully you're paying attention, but we don't always know when that's gonna land. So
one of my aha moments for me personally was when I get to 3 transactions happening at the same time, all at the same time. I kind of start needing help at that point. And that's where, the relationship with the transaction management company that I was working with was huge. It's huge, because that relieved so much of the pressure and so much of the keeping track of the dates and the times and whatnot, because they do this for you. They maintain the dates, the times, the appointments, where you can set your own agenda. I need to be here for this. I need to be there for that. It was huge for me having that transaction management company available, especially because my mind was about to go when I had 3 going on at one time.
Well, and we can't do that for our clients. I think it's the smartest move an agent can make. And I've even, over the years, I changed my opinion on this, especially like a brand new agent. I used to say, hey, do a few of the transactions completely by yourself so that you really understand that nuts and bolts, and then hire a transaction coordinator. I've switched. I've completely done a flip-flop on that. And for a brand new agent, I say to them, and of course they don't want to spend the money, but I push the point is, I think the smartest thing they can do with their first transaction is hire a transaction coordinator. And whether I've seen that range anywhere from like $250 to $400 per transaction, right in there roughly, because they will learn more from seeing that their regular emails coming through and their system and all those deadlines and how they're communicating. They will learn more from that. Let's say, what does mine cost? No, I think mine's $4.25.
That's what I pay. Also.
$4.25. That $4.25, it's the best bet money in this business, because we're giving our clients basically 2 realtors for the price of 1. We have a licensed realtor who is drilling the checklist. So if you get busy with your 3 clients, you've got that person, that licensed realtor, who's still running the checklist for that other transaction that's already in escrow, right? So it's so important, because
exactly. And you still have to know how to fill out the forms. You're the one that still has to put the
you're the one
together.
You're the one. Yeah. It doesn't take any responsibility off your back, right?
It doesn't. You still have that responsibility, but it does relieve the setting your own agenda with all of the emails that the transaction manager is able to help with, because you are able to then not have to think about, did I send that out? Did I not send it? Did I type it and forget to hit the send button? Oh my gosh, that's happened.
Well, you don't have to worry as much.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you. I am a bit of a worrier, but that was earlier in my career, where like you'd wake up in the middle of the night thinking, oh, wait a minute, did I do that and that?
Did
and
I
that?
send
It's
that?
like,
right. Did I call the inspection company?
I think I did. Did I do
think
that
I
today?
did.
I hope I did. And that's, you can't do that. You know, we're running businesses and our clients, these are very expensive transactions for our clients attached to a legal contract. So just the seriousness of it. Okay, let's wrap this up. I've really enjoyed talking with you. Is there anything else you wanted to throw in or that you thought of earlier that you wanted to say that you haven't had a chance to say?
Well, so one of the things that I found that I got that was a benefit of being involved with Women's Council and heavily involved with the board is you get to meet a lot of realtors. And why is that important? It's important because you end up doing transactions with those other realtors.
Yeah.
And if that other realtor knows who they're doing business with, and they know the kind of person you are and how you take care of your clients, that might help you in a multiple offer situation where they don't know any of the other agents. I don't know. It's up to the seller to decide who they're going to choose.
But it's an edge, and I agree. I think it's an important
it's just another base that
part of the business. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. So, all right. Thanks, my friend. Stay on the line for just a second, but thanks for doing this. I think it's great, and I'm so happy that we're working together.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure.